How content can save your life. If you're lucky enough to be born into a family that has your back and is looking out for you, then it gives a certain sense of security. But that's not true for everybody. Some people it's more sink or swim. And for those people, they have to develop their own networks and their own sense of security in the world. And what happens a lot of times in many of those cases is that it's a rough struggle to get to that point, because what happens is at the beginning you don't have that much to offer in life, so the people you can attract, for the most part, I mean there is some generosity in the world, but the people you can attract for the most part also don't have that much to offer. So it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. Even worse than that, they say that like when a person is drowning, if you if you show up to try to save them, you have to be careful because they may push you underwater to save themselves. Because people have kind of like a dog-eat-dog mentality sometimes when they're at that level. So, they feel very vulnerable themselves. So what happens is, it's hard to get out of that rat race. It's hard to get out of that, survival mode where it's just very difficult, to survive. But what happens is if you have the wherewithal to kind of like start to lift yourself up a little bit, then you start to get to associate with higher circles. And what happens is you have to have some skill set that can sustain you. And for most people it's a job, but the thing about a job is that you only make money when you're at the job, and you only have a limited amount of time in your life. So if you get sick, that's why they say most people are one or two paychecks away from homelessness, because if they get sick or something else happens, they can't go to the job, or if they lose the job, or even if they just hate the job, they waste their life because they survive, but they hate what they're doing. So even better than a skill set is having recurring revenue or passive revenue or multiple streams of income that kind of serve you. And what happened is, in my case, because I, not totally, but was kind of a lot on my own in life, I had to learn how to build up assets. So for some people it's real estate, for some people it's a business. And in my case, I was never into real estate. I do have a business, but it was also content. Content kind of saved my life, and I want to explain how it can save yours if you're in a similar situation. The great thing about content is that if it's evergreen content, is that you create it once and then you profit off it forever. Like people are making money from YouTube videos that they created 10 years ago and 5 years ago. Now it is true that sometimes it does have a little bit of a drop off, or sometimes it has to be revised a little bit, but sometimes not. Or even if it loses 20-30% of its income, if it's a great income producer, what happens is as you build up more and more and more of a library of content, you just get more and more and more revenue. Because once you get a lot of revenue, then it can be sliced and diced, mixed up, packaged together into different offers and then cut into micro content. So, content is something that can just make you really, really rich. Like in my example, just producing evergreen content led to 19 books so far. It's led to like 600 or 700, I think 600 something podcast episodes. It's led to over 1,000 YouTube videos. It's led to my online course. And it's also been foundational in my business. It also helped save my life by informational networks. Like I was able to make better business decisions and have more knowledge than the competition in a way that was actionable because of the information networks I was able to put together, which is also content. So, you could just build a skill and have a job, or you could build a business, which is good also, or you could do real estate, or there's probably other ways to have recurring revenue. But in my case, and I think in other people's cases, content, if done well, like it has to be really good content. Like it has to be content that other people want to consume. But monetization always follows attention. Like Facebook makes a lot of money because a lot of people are using the platform. And, influencers make a lot of money because a lot of people are following them. So if you have content that's compelling, like there's a lot of people that make content that is not that compelling, And it doesn't, like, money is just an expression of value. So if people find your stuff valuable, then you'll make money because you'll get a lot of attention. You'll get sponsorships, you'll get book deals, you'll get whatever. People will buy your online course. You also have to know how to market yourself. Like, content doesn't always sell itself. Like, Grant Cardone says your greatest problem in the world is that nobody knows about you. So content by itself is not going to save your life if you don't know how to market it. So to me, marketing and content go hand in hand. It's kind of like a hand and a glove. They fit together, bread and butter or whatever you want to think of it. So you have to know how to promote it. So that's another skill set. But content, combined with marketing, if you choose that path and you do it well, it will totally save your life. Like, some of the most famous people in the world, are basically, content marketers. Like, Mark Zuckerberg is basically a content marketer. Facebook is just content. Google is just content. So Larry Page is basically just a content marketer. And Google kind of markets itself at this point. And Amazon is basically just content marketing. The content is products. But which is kind of a little bit of a stretch, but I mean, you can still think of e-commerce basically as maybe some form of content marketing. So there you go.